Hi, everyone. I'm Sam Eckmann of Gold Derby here with director and executive producer of Physical, Stephanie Laing. And I was a huge fan of season one of Physical, but then I feel like season two just kicked everything up a notch and feels more intense, higher stakes. And so, what was sort of the main, most important shift for you coming into this season?
Well, first, thanks for having me, and thanks for noticing, right? I mean, we all loved season one, but we really felt like for season two, we just wanted it to be bigger and show more of the world outside of Rose. Obviously, you see a lot more of some of the supporting characters, but also for her, particularly for Rose's character Sheila, just to really like she has to have a fall, right? So we start to see like she's getting away with a lot of stuff, and she's not particularly, nice all the time and doesn't make the best decisions for herself or for other people. She's a little selfish, but I think we really wanted to show her, spiral. So we had to set it up with like a little bit of success at the top to like really like bring the audience in and watch her, have a fall by I think it's episode 8.
Yeah. And I mean, it feels like there's like little mini falls as well, because it feels like at least once, but often multiple times an episode, it's as if Sheila looks like her life is going to unravel
Yeah.
before her eyes. She really goes through it this season. What is it like working with Rose Byrne during those super intense moments?
I mean, Rose is incredible, and I have to say, like, it's working with her and Annie, who created it as the showrunner. It really feels like it's the three of us. Like since season one, we've kind of just we're so like-minded, and there's full trust and collaboration, and so she's wonderful, and I have to say, like, really trusting and not afraid to like go to these places. Like she never questions when it's this inner voice that's really shitty to herself, really shitty to other people, because it does, it resonates with so many people. And so I think she's fearless and is like the master of micro expressions. So much happens in her face and her eyes, and we can be doing a little bit of physical comedy, 1 minute, or aerobics the day before with a full routine that she's been rehearsing for months, and then the next day a super emotional scene, and just to watch her switch it on and off is quite something.
Yeah. And you mentioned the voice in her head. I think for one, I think you're one of the only shows that really successfully does the narration. And this season, I think, really kind of doubled down on the fact that this voice is a whole almost like separate persona and really does not have the best interest at heart for her. What is it like kind of playing with the duality of that character there?
It's We talk about it a lot, and we do read it aloud when we're shooting because we really want to get back to those little expressions from her face. If she's hearing something in her head, we want to capture that in her eyes. It's been really interesting exploring that duality, especially like, and amping it up from season two. Again, going back to what I was saying before, like what to watch her kind of spiral, because it's sort of taken over her. So it gets her inner voice gets more aggressive, more angry, and more like pushing her into making these bad choices. And so I think we're just tackling it with honesty and a lot of nuance, as much as we can. And then obviously, like, when we're filming, we really try to protect the tone of the show. So sometimes, you know it's like, don't play the joke, or sometimes it's certain levels of performance of like, this should feel really sad, or this should actually say the complete opposite, so we can kind of finesse the duality in post.
Yeah. Is that tone a difficult line to walk? Because I do think this one straddles drama and comedy all the time.
I think it's something we just protect. I don't know that it's difficult because it's so in the show, right? And it's such a point of view show. It's really, her point of view of everything. So when we start there, it's like, the way I film the episodes are always like, whose point of view is this? It's a very active camera, as you know. I think if it wasn't as active, it might be a little more dramatic and a little more sad to watch. Instead, we're kind of a shiny little object over here, and we have all these the aerobics and this music, and so we're just kind of building every episode, scene by scene, saying, does this fit within the tone? Like, have we earned a little comedy here? We have a little, like, I mean, obviously we have Rory Scovel, who is incredibly funny, and sometimes he doesn't have to do very much and he's funny, so sometimes we have to pull it back a little. And also watching him have a dramatic turn this season has been really fun.
Yeah, it's really crazy because he starts out, he's still a little bit of a tool, but you
Yeah,
start really falling in love with that. Is that like a conscious,
yeah,
decision? How do you chart that journey of like, we're really going to make the audience fall in love with this guy despite
yeah.
everything?
Yeah, definitely conscious, and also just I think for me, I feel like one of the moments it's like solidified for the audience to fall in love with him is when he tries to do aerobics with her. and and there's one little move that he does with his hands, and I was like, okay, that's it. America fell in love with you right there. They're on team, they're team Danny right now, because she's
Yeah.
such an asshole to him minutes later. And it's like, we also have there's the scene in one of the episodes, that same one, like after aerobics, where they're like their closest and happiest they've ever been. So I think, right, it's sort of back to that tone of like, all right, he's taken over, he's trying to be the parent, he's trying to reach out to Sheila, she's just not reachable and is not going to let him fully know her or see her.
Yeah, it's great. It sort of really paints like a rainbow of different emotions within a very short span of time. Um, and I think probably my favorite moment of this season that really captures this specific tone we're talking about is you have Murray Bartlett this season as a great character, and he and Rose Byrne have this like aerobics, wild truth telling scenario. The sequence is it's incredibly shot and incredibly performed by them. Can you just talk about kind of what went into the creation of that scene?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like when I read it first, it was, I mean, again, Annie's so trusting and so is Rose. And I was like, okay, there's this, on paper, it's this. Can I take it all over this house? Can I just expand it into the world? And so they can be moving the whole time they're talking. And almost like they can't help themselves. It's like this is what this is them through movement, but they're just going to spill it all, and that's the way they would do it, right? Them sitting down having a conversation, it would never come out. So we worked really closely with the choreographer Jen Hamilton, and did our own little version of. I was like, if we were La La Land, what would it be? Can we just go all over this house? Yeah, and I have to say, and then I there was a moment too where Marie was wearing certain shoes, and we would do, we were in tighter coverage. I was like, you don't have to wear those. I think your feet are gonna hurt. And I do think his feet were perhaps quite blistered by the end of the day, as were Rose. It was a long day of filming. Um, but it felt very authentic to their characters. Like they're able to show themselves while they're moving.
Yeah. And it looks like, I don't know if there is a lot of play or not, like improvisation with that. How choreographed are those moments? Because to me, it looks like they are, able to play around with it.
Yeah, we definitely let them play around. I mean, we honor the script very much, and then when it feels right, we let them play. And I think, again, even by letting them be, move from one room to the other and just to have fun with it, I think, it comes back to this trust and collaboration between the showrunner, myself, Rose, Murray, and saying, like, we're in a safe space, it's a safe environment, let's just try stuff and see, and see what works, and then continuing to elevate this material.
Yeah.
So yeah, they definitely have a play with stuff.
And we talked about Danny a bit before. I think this season kind of jumps in perspective, I would say more than season one did, whether we're following Danny or following Greta a bit more and diving into their worlds. How do you, as a director, differentiate when you hop into each of those characters' worlds?
We try to switch up the visuals in addition to other things, but like we do try to, like when we're with Rose, the show is like, some people find it surprising that we are 95% steady cam. So we have an incredible operator, Mark Moore. We call him Mark the Shark. He doesn't put that thing down, and he is almost a character within the show because he is Rose's point of view. So when we're with Rose, it's very active. When we go off with, Paul Sparks' character, it's not. It's more specific and almost framed like photographs. And he plays things different, right? It's like Paul's world is very different from Rose's world. The same with Rory. When we follow his perspective this year, we tried to combine a little bit of the visuals. And then I feel like Deirdre, who plays Greta, is like kind of her own thing, and I think what's been great for me with Deirdre was that I, like, my first time on set with her, season 1, was like, hello, nice to meet you. So anyway, you're going to do this aerobics class. You know, it was her scene when she joined Rose's class when she was teaching the first time, and you're not able to keep up because you just don't feel in touch with your body. And we've been able to track that all the way through season 2, where, like, you know, she's starting to own how she feels about herself and feel more confident in her own skin. And so that's been something, you know, we really pay attention to, like the arcs and the track of every single character and sort of those, you know, those nuances and details.
Yeah. This season also, I think, went to a place I wasn't sure it would ever go, which was kind of Sheila hopping into recovery and actually addressing her eating disorder head on. What was it like? What was that a scary place to bring it? Because it really, I think, has the potential to shift the whole series. So what went into the decision to bring it to that place?
Felt that we had earned it, you know, and because she was spiraling so far with her on her, you know, the storyline with Murray, that we felt like we needed Sheila to recognize that she needed to get help, and so that episode of Rehab is really about stopping the voices. And so there's like a moment where she jumps in the pool, and that's the voice is gone until it's not, you know. But we just felt as a character and like her path, like she needs to confront this. Like we've tracked her so far and she's fallen, and now it's time to, you know, and also time to address it, you know. And that was a really fun episode to do. We were on location, you know, out in Thousand Oaks, and and it was so fun again to also craft like the character arcs of the other people that she was in rehab with. So we, like, very quickly, it was like such a challenge to say, okay, we're going to introduce a bunch of new people here. How are you going to fall in love with them in 30 minutes and also care about them? And so, you know, we talked, or at least I talked to the cast of that episode and Rose about what type of eating disorder it is. What are the things, you know, I mean, that's such a specific episode. I mean, they all eat an orange a different way, you know, and trying to enjoy food, and you know, it's such a journey and such an incredibly important thing to, I think, show on television. For us, you know, we are really showcasing it. You know, it affects a lot of people. A lot of people have disordered eating. I mean, we've had a lot of,
Mhm.
you know, women, but also men reach out to us to say that it really touches them. So I think that's another reason why we really wanted to let her have an episode in rehab.
Yeah, and it feels like it felt very realistic because it was very messy and not there's not a linear path to recovery. Um, can you talk a little bit about that? Was there, like, you know, research into disordered eatings of those various people?
Yeah, very much. Like, I had several conversations with people, you know, experts in that area. I know Annie did as well. I'm fairly certain Rose did. And we really, again, just wanted to show something in a really honest way. And to show, as you said, it's not linear. You don't know. One day is a good day, the next day is bad. Someone else is going to have a completely different, you know, track or path than you are, and slipping up, and how it's nature, it's human nature, and also it's part of the disease. You know, it's a long process. There's no, you know, cure all. So we really felt it was important to just say, like, okay, she's going to this place for this many days, but we're not going to, you know, we're not going to be specific about necessarily how many days and what's happening every day, just to say this is how it's affecting, you know, Rose's character, and also how it affects Rory's character, as you know, the scene when he comes in and can't deal with it. So
Sure. Yeah. Well, this season, I think it ends kind of with a lot of ask some new questions, and you're left wondering a bit where she goes from here. You know, what type of healing path is she really on? So I'm curious, like, looking forward, what are you kind of most excited to explore in terms of what comes next for this character?
yeah, I mean, we just finished season 3 about a month ago. So we know, obviously we can't talk about it right now, but we know
No spoilers.
very, I mean, I'm so pleased with it and so proud of it. In season 3, we went even bigger and bolder than 2. So, and we went to some really dark places in season 3, but we also went to some really happy places for Rose's character and everybody else as well. So I feel like it's season 3, I think, will be very satisfying for people.
Mm. Well, I can't wait to see both the dark and the light that you've got in store for us next season. But fantastic job with season 2. For anyone watching at home, please subscribe to Gold Derby. Keep up to date with us the rest of this season. Stephanie, thank you so much. It was a pleasure.
Thank you so much for having me. Thanks.